there's only one time you drive, and that is if you're passionate about it. If your heart is, if you lose hours, days, weeks, years of your life doing something because it seems like so much fun that you can't picture yourself doing anything else, then you're on track. Keep going for it. If, on the other hand, there's self-doubt, there's pain, it becomes drudgery, work, so difficult, the doors keep closing, why am I doing this? It doesn't feel right. Stop. You're getting the early warning signs that you could be in for a Michael Sandler.
Hello and welcome to the Truly Amazing Life podcast, where you get to peek inside the brains of inspiring people who are absolutely thrilled to be alive and see what the big dealio is. I'm your host, Aaron Kennard, and my guest today is Michael Sandler. You're in for a treat today, and this episode is longer than normal because there was really no way I was going to be able to dig into Michael's fascinating life story in 30 minutes. So let's just jump right into this conversation. Just as a brief intro, Michael has he's written a number of books about barefoot running. He wrote Barefoot Walking and Barefoot Running with Jessica Lee, right? You both wrote the books, right?
Yeah, and co-authored, absolutely.
Yeah, so they were featured in the news all over the place over the last number of years in the barefoot running movement that kind of took off, and he was a big part of that. And anyway, he's had some really crazy experiences in life, and he's just done some really cool and fun things, and some recent developments that have just happened that have led to starting to write a new book. So that's just as a brief overview. That's why I wanted to get you on the line and chat. There's just so much we can talk about here, but what did I leave out about you, Michael, that people should know?
I think it's a great starting point. I'm sure we'll get into the quote, my story as we go along. So, and there's so many directions we can go with it at this point that just lead the way, and whatever the readers or listeners need to know, it'll probably come out.
All right, cool. So, well, let's just start. This is the Truly Amazing Life podcast, and so that's what intrigued me about just reaching out to you. Is I saw your movement for your new book and what you and Jessica are doing, and your attitude was just awesome. I just loved to hear that viewpoint of gratitude and seeing that, like, okay, so I know I'm going to let you explain the story, but I'm just kind of giving a background here for people that why I was intrigued to get you on the phone, because you had a crazy experience happen after numerous other crazy experiences. And your first thought in that, from what I gathered from the video that you guys put, was that you were grateful for it right from the get-go. Like right when the hard thing happened, you were automatically seeing that this was going to bless your life. And that is something that so many people need to hear. Like so many people need to hear why you thought that way automatically. Like how did you get to that? How did you get to that place and things like that? So that's just a background. Let's get into it. Tell us, let's see, where should we start? Let me ask you a quick question before we jump into all of that. What is it right now that makes life truly amazing to you? Right now.
Life, love, energy, light, all of that. All of the experiences we're going through, the muck, the fun times, the beautiful times, the challenging times, it all adds up, and it's all happening as it should and for a reason. And so extremely thankful, grateful, and happy in almost each moment. There are some moments that are quite hard. You look at the hospital bills and you're like, oh my God. But life is beautiful.
That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me, was it always this way for you? Have you always seen life as beautiful? Have you always had that attitude about life?
No, I've always had an attitude that I can overcome anything or surmount any challenge. Actually, that's probably what's gotten me into a lot of difficulty in life, because instead of flowing like water downhill, I've often tried to be the salmon swimming upstream, and as the story goes, the salmon that makes it upstream dies. So you really don't want to be swimming upstream, and I was really good at it.
Yeah.
But I had a very positive outlook that at least for many years, that out of lemonade could, or out of lemons could come lemonade. And that may have come through many of the challenges that I have been faced with. And each time you go through a challenge and come out the other end, you're tempered a little bit more, sort of like that heated that then gets thrown into the cold water, and it makes it a little bit stronger each time. Each time you get more of a, I want to call it a divine or cosmic knowing that everything is right, that everything has its purpose, that while this hurts like hell in the moment, there has to be a special reason for it.
Absolutely. That's cool. So you haven't always felt, it sounds like it's just through the events in your life, you've just built up this greater and greater stamina to hard things, or knowing that they're all helping you somehow.
A greater knowing, and also a greater internal knowing. At the age of 10, I was injured in a freak little bike accident racing against another person who crashed into me, which left me with 6 knee operations.
Jeez.
And I was told that's when my ACL was first removed, lateral and medial meniscus sucked out. And these were back in the day.
You say first removed, like you did it later too? Are we going to get into that?
No, removed.
Okay, yeah. But you said first, like it was the first time that happened out of...
Meaning that I've had a total of, I've lost count, 10 or 11 knee operations on that leg. So
on just one leg.
Just on one leg.
Yeah.
And so I was told by doctors at age 10, well, don't expect your knee to be able to do very much. Don't expect to be able to walk without arthritis, or maybe even to be able to walk after you're 18, because we just don't know how this thing is going to hold together.
Yeah.
And they're going through surgery after surgery with me. And before I'm 12, they're telling me I've got an arthritic knee and that's for life and this, that, and the other thing. And years later, I became a pro cyclist. So what did I learn from this? That nobody else is in charge of you but you.
Yeah.
And so to let go of all of the belief systems around you that are trying to be handed to you to say, you are this, you are that, it was a bad this, it was a bad that, all of these labels and muck, whatever is. And so that really started to develop in that time for me, so that now when, unfortunately, and I guess I'll get into that story, but when I was cracked like an egg over a rock, I was able to say,
you're just laughing about that.
It really was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was also the most painful thing that ever happened to me.
I didn't even know about that 10-year-old experience. That leads, that gives me more clarity on why you are so tempered against so many hard things. You've been going through it since you were 10. But when you say you were cracked like an egg over a rock, was this the skating incident? Or was this the most recent incident?
The most recent incident.
Okay, so take us back a little bit, because before you wrote Barefoot Running, or the book about barefoot running, you had another incident. So just tell us briefly what happened there.
Yeah, at that point, in 2004, I had stopped racing and did a...
Racing bikes, right?
Racing bicycles, yep. And was racing on the track. I was kind of your 200-meter big sprinter guy at the time. And trying to help others. And I was writing a book for people with learning disabilities and attention deficit disorder. And so I did it came to me in a dream, and I crazily followed that dream and did a 5,000-mile unsupported solo 40-day bike ride across the country.
Wow.
And that was a very unsupported. Nobody out there with me.
Wow.
So
you would just stop for food when at restaurants, or just carry gear and then whatever, huh?
Carry your gear, stop into the 7-Eleven when you can.
Wow.
Cry yourself along the way.
Yeah.
And just keep on going.
Okay, so you did that, and then what were you saying?
And then 2005, that went really well, and I got invited to meet with members of the House and Senate and talk about Mental Parity Act and learning disabilities, all that good stuff.
Wow.
And so in 2005, I was sponsored by Rollerblade, because I'd formerly been a speed skater.
Yeah.
And I was sponsored by Rollerblade to go after a world endurance record of skating from coast to coast, LA to New York City, which was to be 4,000 miles in 40 days. I like endurance a little bit,
Yeah.
and or need my head examined. But in training, and I was getting very strong, but I was really struggling with a lot of foot challenges in training, a lot of plantar fasciitis conditions. But one day in training, I slipped off my skates, put my legs in a creek, which is actually flooded this week, Boulder Creek.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think that that's where I meditated. And I kind of prayed and asked for safety and guidance for this upcoming journey. Also wondering how my body and legs were or feet were gonna hold together.
Yeah.
I got out of the water, laced up my skates, pushed off, rounded a bend. It was going slow. It was a Sunday. I said, there'll be tourists out, so take it easy on the bike path. And a father had gotten his, he was visiting town, didn't know it was a bike path, and he was teaching his baby how to walk, and they stepped out right in front of me.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I threw myself down to avoid the baby, because you're not going to hit a baby.
Yeah.
And in that moment, my whole world changed. Exploded my femur on impact, my hip, my arm. I told it was the shards of bone came less than a centimeter from wiping me out, hitting my femoral artery. And yet I knew in that moment, and like I'd been praying for safety and guidance, here I am completely broken on the trail.
Wow.
And instead of going, why me, woe is me, I was like, thank you. I got an answer. We're going to be doing something different here.
So you literally, like right then, you're laying on the trail and you were feeling grateful. You were feeling that thank you.
I was feeling life is good. Life is good. And
even though you were probably in severe pain, I would imagine.
I had to take my left leg and flop it over the right, because that's probably what saved the pieces of bone for cutting through the artery. So I was in excruciating pain. In fact, the ambulance crew and everybody got there, and they see me. I've got this ear-to-ear grin on my face, like life is good. And they're trying to talk to me, and I'm like, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm meditating right now. Please let me do this.
That is awesome. Like, I don't meet many people that are like grinning about stuff like that and saying thank you right there, because it's just not the natural tendency to do. And you've obviously built that up and trained yourself to see life in such a grateful way. So I wasn't sure that you were feeling that way during that experience. I knew you were during this most recent experience, but it sounds like it's just been your habit throughout life to see things as a blessing.
Yeah, that one was easier. The pain of that one was a lot less than the more recent one. And so it was much easier to have that beaming ear-to-ear grin, even though I literally could have died there on the bike path.
Yeah. Because the pain wasn't so intense?
Oh, the pain was up till that point in my life.
It was the most intense thing you'd had.
Yeah, but I mean, the boy is okay. The sun is still shining. The fingers and toes, well, the fingers moved quite a bit. The toes were trying to do their own floppy fish thing, but they were moving. And so I'm like, life is good. I could see under a layer or two of the onion to know if you pray 1 minute, if you're meditating 1 minute, and you're saying, give me safety, give me guidance, and the next minute you're cracked open on that trail, there is a reason for it. And I don't need to know what the reason is now.
Yeah.
It will come to me, but something special is coming.
I love that trust. That's just like, it almost gives me chills to hear that. It's just like, yes, you trust, you have faith. It's like, you cannot see, like, it's exactly opposite of what you would think. I mean, it looks like exact opposite of safety, right? You just cracked your femur open, and it's just, yet you're still saying, thank you. I believe this is good for me. I'm going to trust. And that is so powerful. So go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, no. I felt it was a gift, and it really helped carry us forward in life. And I look back at it also, and I look at this, I was going to do this crazy 4,000 mile, 40-day skate across the country. Maybe there was a Mack truck that had my name grill, and this just saved me from that.
You have no way of knowing that. Yeah.
Yeah,
and maybe someday when we're dead, maybe you'll see all that. Maybe that record will be revealed. Who knows? But you don't have to know that right now, right?
Exactly. All I know is, you put it perfectly. I don't need to see all the pieces of the puzzle. In fact, I only need to go on one thing and one thing only.
What's that?
Feeling. How does it feel? Not how does the body feel. The body hurt
the body
like
hurts. Yeah.
hell. But I felt good.
Yeah.
I felt great. And they kept on asking me, EMT after EMT. They kept saying, Michael, did you hit your head? I'm like, no, I didn't. But I felt good. And that's a driver, meaning that I'm on track. And everything else, picking up the pieces, and there are a lot of pieces to pick up, they'll find their way back together.
That's so cool. Okay, so we've been alluding to this latest thing that happened. But give people the kind of the in between there, because so you had this thing, you're thankful for it. All of a sudden, you now they're saying again that you're not going to walk. You may not have a leg. Fill us in then on the details of what, because it was after that you started barefoot running and writing books and going across the country again. I mean, obviously you walked again.
Yeah. Well, I was there in the hospital coaching the doctor before he took me into surgery. And I'm telling him, don't worry, doc, it's going to go back together better than you ever expected it would. Because he's literally x-raying one side and comparing it to the other to try to figure out what to do. And I'm coaching him along, and because I just knew this didn't happen for me to lose my leg. No way. That's not what's coming out of this.
Yeah.
Something important, something that's going to have to do with my healing journey is going to come out of that. And I don't think it's going to be my healing journey as an amputee. Yeah. And so we get through surgery. The next day I come to, I'm laying in bed so weak, and I've still got blood transfusions because I lost so much blood. I was bleeding internally from this.
Yeah.
And he comes into the hospital all excited, and he's, Michael, you're never going to believe it. And the doc throws up the x-ray, and he's tapping on it on the light box proudly, and he goes, it went back together better than I ever expected it would.
Just like you told him it would the day before, huh?
Exactly. It was just a knowing. And now he still didn't expect me to be able to do much more than walk, and even that was going to be a challenge. But I'd been told that so many times before that I knew that the healing was going to only come if I believed I was going to be able to get back to running marathons or beyond, which with my weak feet at the time would have been a major miracle.
Yeah.
If I believed it, though, that I could get there. Conversely, if I believed, because they were going to move me in 3 or 4 days to a rehab hospital, which was a nursing home. It was anything but a place to rehab, and they expected me to spend a couple months there.
Yeah.
So if I believed that that was my path, that I'm weak, that I'm injured, that I'm throw whatever label, that would have come true too. But instead I had a knowing something great's going to come out of this. In fact,
hold on.
Wackiest thing, there were people interviewing me like yourself. Go ahead.
Sorry, you just cut off again. So you said the wackiest thing just happened, then what?
There were people interviewing me like yourself, calling me up in the hospital, saying, what are you going to do? Are you still going to do your skate? And I said, I don't know. I don't think I'm supposed to do the skate. But, the Boulder 10K is coming up. Let me see if I could do that on crutches. So fast forward to me off crutches. And yes, I did the race. It went well. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
But I get off of crutches, and I went through some real hardship at that time because this was a very severe injury. And so my body was completely inflamed, and so I had one overuse condition after the next. Your plantar fasciitis, your tendinitis in the ankle, your shin splints, patellar tendinitis, chondromalacia, or tendinitis deep inside the knee, T-band syndrome, and hip problems. I couldn't get any of it under control. I didn't give up, but extremely frustrating. But I just kept on. I go into meditation and give thanks. Thank you for my strong, healthy, happy feet. Strong, healthy, happy feet. Strong, healthy. See myself running along in meditation, flying along effortlessly, gliding, almost not even touching the ground. Oh, wait, there's no shoes on that guy. Oh, we'll ignore that part. I was seeing it. I had no idea.
Interesting.
And I just believed that I'll be fine. And finally, at one point, I came to the end of the road where I'm like, none of this is working. Nature seems to be my place to heal. The earth seems to be a healing place. I'm going to slip off my shoes. And fast forward, I healed. All the inflammation went away.
What year was this?
All the swelling. That was the accident was April 2006, so that was 2007.
Huh.
Summer of 2007, I became a barefoot walker and then a barefoot runner, and ran my fastest 10K ever by the end of that summer.
Wow.
And went on to run marathons barefoot or marathon distances, and all sorts of these silly things that I was able to do that came out of the connection with the earth, the running barefoot, the time in nature, the more introspective journey, and that accident.
And then as a result, you ended up writing some books about it and started teaching other people. Right?
Absolutely.
So all as a result of that particular, it could never have happened without that accident. It kind of led you down that path, right?
No, I was actually engaged to another girl at the time who went away after the accident.
Uh-huh.
The engagement broke off, which left an opening years later to run into Jessica Lee, my amazing twin flame of a wife who met me and said, "What do we do with this stuff here?" And then one day, it was a Friday night, she goes, "Oh, by the way, you're coaching a clinic on barefoot running tomorrow morning."
So she just started setting stuff up, huh? That's awesome.
She did, because she saw the power of the story of what I had gone through, and she had started running barefoot herself. It's like, teach people. We have to help others to be able to. It's really a healing journey. Help others to be able to heal. And so meeting her came out of that accident. The barefoot running came out of the accident. She was the real driver of, okay, let's start a club. Let's start a business. Let's write a book.
Huh.
And that all came out of
that accident.
Shedding my skin through that accident.
Yeah, like that accident was the catalyst that led you in this amazing path. So when you prayed that day, hey, just guide me, give me safety, and and then you trusted in that, it led you on this amazing journey of a path to finding your soulmate, really, like your wife. And I mean, just amazing things that came out of that, right?
Yeah, and it required both trust. Trust is ultimately letting go of resistance.
Yes.
Because if you let go of resistance, things come to you. If you resist,
it persists.
It's a lot. Exactly, it's a lot. It's a pain. So there was the trust aspect, and then there was the really. I just read it recently again. Having that mind of a child, that open or empty mind that is willing to not only challenge any belief of the who I am, because we are not our job, our education, what we have in the driveway, our home, our family, or any definition that we give ourselves, even our sport or our religion. We're not any of those things.
Yeah.
If we allow us to have the mind of the child, which hasn't set in stone who they are at that moment, then so many magical things can occur because we become open to them. So for instance, for me, what was the thing that I least would have likely done? Gone barefoot.
Yeah.
I was Mr. Plantar Fasciitis.
You had to get the big thick shoes with the support and the motion control and everything, because that's what everybody says to do, the doctors and all the running specialists, right?
I had a couple $1,000s worth of different orthotics. I had orthotics for my running shoes, my walking shoes, different ones for my gym shoes, carbon fiber ones for my cycling shoes and skates.
Well, I'll tell you real quick, I can relate more than most people, because I don't know if I told you this or not, but I couldn't run at all. In 2009, I couldn't run a mile. My knees would just lock up on me. Severe pain. My buddy sent me that book, Born to Run, and then it led me to kind of reading about your stuff too. And right at that time, I just went barefoot completely. And since then, I've run ultra marathons. I have zero knee pain. I can run every day for an hour or 2 hours. And it's all because I chose to go barefoot running. I don't always run barefoot now. I mean, I run in flat shoes if I do. Like, I run in ultras. I don't know if you've seen the Ultra Zero drops. If I run in shoes, like on trails, I'm not totally a barefoot runner, but it's because I trained exclusively for like a year in bare feet that I was able to strengthen my feet and learn the proper running form. So anyway, I completely relate in so many ways as you're talking about this stuff, of course. So continuing on, you were, and that's just to give other people a perspective too, because people, you get all sorts of reactions as you're in the business, and everybody thinks it's so extreme and crazy, but it's because they haven't looked into it at all. Hardly in general, that's what happens. But so what was I going to say? So, I was thinking, so you had all this stuff happen, but you were talking about resistance and how much different would it have been had you had that accident and then you sat there and said, why me, and stewed over it for months and years. How would you wouldn't have been led to, you wouldn't have been open, like you were saying, the mind of a child, you wouldn't have been open to the guidance, right? If you're sitting there in this resistance mode and cursing God for having allowed this to happen, right?
So I've had some big challenges in my life, and I want to say right here to the universe, God, everything, no more. I've had my share, and I don't think we need any more to the Michael story of he did this, he did that, to be able to help people. So I'm done. With that said, in '93, I was racing bicycles in Europe. I was trying to make it to the Tour de France.
Uh-huh.
And I was racing in this little town called Holville, and I came up on my bike, American, doing well. There's people go, vous allez, vous allez. They're cheering me on. The safety official waves me through this turn straight into an oncoming car.
Ooh.
An elderly woman had come up an alley and gotten her way out on the course.
Uh-huh.
And that was the end of my racing career.
Did you break? You broke a bunch of stuff then, I guess, huh?
It was very. If you ever have the chance, I don't recommend it, of seeing the movie Misery. There's a person in that who has their leg locked in a device, and then somebody takes a giant sledgehammer and takes it to the leg.
Yeah.
It's called a hobbling. I had my lower leg turned at a 90-degree angle.
Oh.
And then it turns out the back injuries I didn't know about at the time, because you could only see what's going on in the leg, was even worse. And at the time I thought, God is dead. There is no God. Why did this happen to me? And after that, I tried comeback after comeback after comeback, and for years I couldn't get anywhere. I went to psychiatrist after psychiatrist for post-traumatic stress disorder, and you name it, because of the amount of anger or self-disappointment or upsettedness I had towards myself, because I turned everything inward and said, this is a real negative thing. This shouldn't have happened to me. And I went into this self. And
sorry, you went
in a sense, it was a way of.
You went into this what?
This place of, let's see if I can get, where is the mic?
I think it was just our reception. It was just sometimes goes out. So you went into this self what?
A place of self-pity, probably self-loathing, and just an incredibly dark hole of disappointment, which over, even though I had this on the outside very positive look at life, it was this overarching theme for everything in my life, and I couldn't really get past that. It was, I know what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, it was propping me up, the story of Michael as the woe is me, poor me.
For how many years? For how long were you in that?
Somewhere between 5, 6, 7 years. It wasn't till probably about 2000. By 2000, the light for some reason was starting to glow. Right, and I was really able to heal. I did an Ironman that year, and I limped through the run because I had these incredibly weak feet.
Yeah.
But I did it, and I was starting to shine again, and it was starting to gel in me that maybe my path wasn't meant to be a professional cyclist. And looking back, and I, like every other cyclist out there, was offered a whole bunch of stuff to take at the time, which I didn't take, which actually didn't work well with my team.
Yeah.
And so, to say, I'm disappointed that I didn't go that route, I let go of that disappointment because I learned there's probably something much more for me.
Yeah.
And learning that there's something much more for me, first off, if that accident happened again, I would be able to heal like that.
Well,
Compared to
because
what I've
look at
gone through,
that,
it's
7
nothing.
years. Like you sat there and suffered in life for 7 years because you wouldn't let go, right?
I'm
Something like
coming
that.
to a realization here that's really weird, which is that it was 7 years, it was almost 7 years let go. And then it was 7 years until I had my accident, which led to barefoot running. And then 7 years,
Till now.
1 month and 17 days, 7117, till the recent accident, which almost took my life. So there's 7 years. So in 7 years, I think I may need to put myself in a padded room.
Yeah. Let's put a reminder on your calendar for 7 years to stay inside for that year or something, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Or go meditate on a hilltop for the year.
Well, we laugh about that, but the fact is, it's in 7 years you're going to keep living fully, and if things happen again, you're going to keep seeing it as a blessing. That's that's the fact of the matter, right?
Oh yeah, and I don't think I think there was a part of me that needed this experience to go through to really help me vibrate in sync with who I'm meant to be.
And you're saying this most recent experience.
Yeah. And so I don't feel that there's that need. As long as I stay in sync now, I don't feel there's a need for that again.
Yeah. That's really.
But I'm not in charge.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting to hear, we're gonna stop leaving people hanging here pretty soon and let you tell about what happened recently. But we're going to keep the cliffhanger open just a little bit longer because I want to go back to that 7 years when you were struggling and not letting go and suffering and not healing and trying to hold on to being a professional cyclist and holding on to what you thought you wanted to be and have, right? Mm-hmm. What took you out of that? What got you finally to let go? What was it? So that you could heal.
I think it was a return to spirituality. I think it was, I had started going to Native American ceremonies down on the Navajo reservation. Uh-huh. And that was in the first time in my life that I really, truly felt God or spirit with me or inside of me. Until then, it was just a rote thing. You go to temple or you go to church. And I'd gone to both of them.
And they didn't work for you, and you hit this car, and it didn't give you everything you wanted, and so God must not exist, right? That was how you were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was growing, and I was plugging back in, and I was starting to see the big picture. I was starting to read people like a Dr. Wayne Dyer.
He's amazing. I love his stuff.
Yeah, more spiritual minds who are saying that this isn't all there is to life. And so the term that I started to use a lot at that time was I was able to step back. And I started to step back and see the big picture. And the light went on. And I got out of that place. I went back to grad school at that point. I started writing my first book, which got published. I was on fire in a sense, and I won state championships and did some other just beautiful, amazing stuff in cycling again because I was letting go of the old and letting go of that story.
That's cool. That's interesting.
Plugging in.
So a lot of different things kind of led you. You needed that time for whatever reason, and then you were led to books and teachers and mentors and really kind of plugging back into your spirit and listen and starting to wake up to who you are, huh?
In my maturity process, I needed that time period to, for whatever reason, go in a cave and lick my wounds. It shouldn't have been necessary, but I'm very thankful for who I am here today, and a lot of great stuff came out of it, like going to Navajo ceremonies, which came during that time period, which were essential to who I am now. But it was a very hard, challenging time.
Yeah, cool. I mean, not cool, but yeah, I understand that. Okay, so that's a really good picture of what you've gone through so far. Tell us what happened then recently. And and let's get into what you're doing now. Tell us, what happened in May.
So in May, I was still trying to swim like a fish upstream. And I was on book tour for this beautiful book that Jessica and I wrote, Barefoot Walking, which came out through Random House this spring.
That's cool.
And it was really excited to be out there sharing with people, because it much more than just on walking. It was more of a how-to book on life, or how to be more of a spiritual being in everything that we do. And so it's a beautiful book. Was extremely happy to be sharing it with others. But the book tour wasn't supposed to happen, or at least in the fashion that it happened. The RV we were supposed to do a home swap for with some beautiful people who had an RV that we could borrow. Their RV transmission went out 2 weeks before the tour was supposed to start. So I went and found another eco RV, little small RV that I could rent for the tour, which really took our savings, but felt it was supposed to be out there. And Jessica, she was maybe a little bit more plugged in than me. She's like, that doesn't feel so right. So I'm going to coordinate things from home. Why don't you go out there and we're going to see what happens? She had a feeling. She knew.
Yeah.
And so I went out there, and first the electrical system went out on the RV in the Grand Canyon, leaving me stuck for 2.5 days in below freezing temperatures, which left me with
the
what? Next 6 days. A fever.
Oh, wow.
I got very sick. So the start of the tour, here I am with a fever. I drive into California. The cabinets pop open. All the glass inside of it comes flying out of the cabinets, shatters and explodes glass all over the inside of the RV. And I call up Jessica, and I'm like, can you look up on the computer, what's the sign? What does it mean if there's broken glass everywhere? So from there, I think we ran into some more electrical problems. I'm a plural now, me and the person driving along. Yeah. I'm cheering them on. More electrical problems. Get into the rule for myself giving talks is that the person, the organizer of the talk, has to be into our talk. That brings a good crowd.
Yeah.
We were giving these talks at an outdoor recreation company where they let go pretty much across the board all of their specialists who hold talks in a restructuring, just as I'm getting on the road.
Yeah.
So there is nobody at any of the stores to support. Okay, it's another red flag. I get to up by San Francisco. The fever's finally abated. I'm feeling great. I go leave the RV by this wetlands place to go connect with nature. I come back. The door to the RV is open. The glass has been smashed into. All of my electronics have been stolen. Computer's gone. Phone's gone. Slideshow's gone. Everything is gone. And
you got to start listening to Jessica more.
Oh my!
Or
God.
your feelings. I'm just kidding. Sounds like you're pretty tuned in, but maybe this time you were resisting it. You say you were swimming upstream, like you were. Yes. You were trying to do your own thing again, what you wanted, instead of listening and feeling.
I wanted this book to work.
Yeah.
And I, as a former professional athlete who knows how to get things done,
persistence,
I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Wow. 2 car accidents, same day as the break-in.
Uh-huh.
Am I going to quit? No, we're going to keep going 1 or 2 more
it's
down.
an interesting thing, though, because you get this persistence. We should be persistent. And there's this interesting balance between when do you, how do you know when to stop? How do you know when to let go? And how do you know when to really drive and not take no for an answer and not stop and power through the obstacles, right?
I think there's only one time to drive. And I knew it. I was being a for lack of a better word, a hypocrite. I wanted so hard this book to succeed.
Yeah.
There's only one time you drive, and that is if you're passionate about it. If your heart is, if you lose hours, days, weeks, years of your life doing something because it seems like so much fun that you can't picture yourself doing anything else, then you're on track. Keep going for it. If, on the other hand, there's self-doubt, there's pain, it becomes drudgery, work, so difficult, the doors keep closing, why am I doing this? It doesn't feel right. Stop. You're getting the early warning signs that you could be in for a Michael Sandler.
I love it. And after this call, people will know that they don't want a Michael Sandler.
So, yeah.
Unless they need it. And then you should want it because, that's the best thing for you. But
there's what's that Woody Harrelson movie, Kingpin. And he becomes a professional bowler, gambles, gets his hand chopped off, and is this gambling calamity. And his name was Munson. And so after that, the word that came out was to be Munsoned, to have it all like a golden spoon and to lose it. So you don't want to be Munson
or Sandlered. But no, that's such a. I loved how you said that. And so in this time, you were swimming upstream. You weren't following your passion. You were trying to do something, but it was not lining up, and you were trying to force it.
Yes.
When it shouldn't. Yes. When it wasn't the right. And when you say that, like you said, when you love doing it, when you're passionate about it. So obviously you weren't super passionate about it. You wanted it for some other reason, or what? Why were you driving so hard then to do it?
Fear.
Fear of what?
Fear that I would miss an opportunity, or that the book wouldn't take off, or that I'm not doing what I should be doing.
Huh. And how did you get into the place of
and
fear?
And so I just kept pushing ahead.
Why were you in that state of fear? What do you think?
Because I think we'd been driving so hard over the previous 2 years. We put out Barefoot Running. It became a tremendous success. Then it got re-released by Random House, and it had to start from scratch. And so we're scrambling up the ladder again. Then we spend a year filming the most beautiful DVD, Barefoot Running, the movie, which initially started incredibly slowly, which is not what we expected, but we had put everything, our heart, our time, our savings into it. And then here comes Barefoot Walking, which has taken up the last little bit of resources, both time and money into it. And so we're going, we've got to make this work. We're best-selling authors, but we've gambled everything.
Yeah.
We've got to make it work.
So it's that fear of loss, that fear of this is our last thing, and somehow getting wrapped up and caught up in it because you've put so much heart into it that you just don't want to see it fail.
Yeah. And now we wanted to help others with this book.
Yeah.
You're right. It was fear of failure.
Yeah.
Fear of failure.
It's so interesting how we slip back into that, isn't it, in life? And then we need to be snapped back out of it in various ways. So how do we stay in that?
Snap,
okay.
Appropriate.
Yeah. So what happened? So you're fighting it, and then you're on this tour, and it's not working out, and then what?
Fighting it. It's not working out. All sorts of additional calamity. I get to Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons for a few days, an hour before my talks, and made the decision. I'm like, Jessica, come on out here. She had been planning on it to continue the tour. I'm like, come on out and let's get me home, and we'll do the rest of the tour, maybe a limited tour, but we're going to do it a different way. Then I spent a few days meditating and running throughout these majestic places. I got to sit with the bison. They're sitting 20 feet in front of me, and did a meditation with them.
Where is this?
At one point, that's in Yellowstone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it had just opened, and at one point I slipped out my phone camera to try to take a picture of the bison, and the lead bison in the herd. He gets up and he looks like be quiet, sit back down, don't interrupt anybody. I'm like, sorry, and I got this beautiful time to commune with nature, and that's what it's all about. I got to stop. And when you stop and listen, something that in 2000 I was saying got to step back.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that started. When you get to stop and listen, your guides, the inner voice inside of you, starts to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing. And the heart is always right. We just never either listen, or we're in such a place as I was of go, 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 go.
Or we get distracted, and it's like we can't hear it because we get ourselves so busy or something, right?
Yeah. We can't or don't take the time to listen.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Get me off of this tour. And more calamity followed. I got down to Boulder, Colorado after a 14-hour drive through a freak May snowstorm. And in that last talk, and Jessica was there for this talk, a woman grabbed.
A woman grabbed what?
Goes like this. And she grabbed me by my face,
Uh-huh.
grabs and looks me in the eyes and goes, "No more, Michael. No more. Stop. Just stop."
Huh.
She could see it, and I had this ooga booga feeling, and the goosebumps still got them now on my arms.
Yeah.
She saw something coming.
Huh.
And we packed up from that talk. We limped the RV. At that point, it had a nearly dead electrical system. We limped it out of town to bring it back to California. The next day, the transmission died on it at the top of a pass in the Grand Tetons, which is ironic because we didn't take this other RV because the transmission had died on it.
Yeah.
You can't escape your fate in a sense. We spent a week in a rental car back in Yellowstone in the Grand Tetons going, woo, nature, having the time of our lives. Got back in the RV and rushed our way to California so I could break myself.
So what happened?
We ended up on the day we were returning the RV, and it was one last, it's always like one last ski run, it's one last hike.
Yeah.
Before we returned this thing, and had this just absolutely beautiful experience out on the trails. Went up to this amazing waterfall. It was pure snow melt just coming straight down, and there's this amazing water hole cavern below it, which I went swimming in 3 times, turned me blue, the color of this shirt pretty much, because it was like 32-degree water, just moving snow melt.
Uh-huh.
And got out of the water, and freezing cold. We had me put on all of my clothes because it was so cold, including my leather-soled moccasins, which I wouldn't normally wear on slick, rocky surfaces like we were going to be on, but it was just so cold we wanted to keep me as warm as possible.
Yeah.
And we hiked down and got to about a mile from the car, and there I'm feeling just this amazing, special closeness or connection with Jessica. And I had to stop. I called her back to me, put my arms around her, and I said, because she's been wanting kids for a while now, I said, you know, I love you so much. I feel like it's just about time for us to start our family. And then she walked off in front of me, and I followed behind, and I crossed a little creek bed, only a couple feet wide. And I was moving slowly, just taking my time, but I stepped on this rock, or I stepped in the water, probably got water on the bottom of the moccasins, stepped in the sand, got sand on the bottom of the moccasins, and there's no rubber, it's a leather sole. Mm-hmm. And then I stepped on this next rock, an angled rock, and my feet flew out from beneath me. And I don't understand it. I really don't have a clue how it happened. From standing height, feet out beneath me, I started one place, ended another place, landed on a pyramid-shaped rock on my femur. Ugh. And
the same one?
The opposite one.
Oh, man.
And I saw my upper leg stop, or my lower leg, from my knee up mid-thigh, I watched it stop. I watched from mid-thigh up through the hip, it keep going about another foot. Ugh. And then snap back up.
That's crazy.
So I knew in that moment what had happened. And I yelled to Jessica, who was up ahead of me. I said, "Oh no, not again." And started to struggle and then stopped breathing. And she had gotten back up to me, and it was that moment. It's decision time. I could have just closed my eyes and very peacefully gone away. The body or the brain or whatever had flipped the off switch.
So you stopped breathing because of the trauma of it? The injury was specifically located to your leg?
Yeah, it exploded the femur in a way that a skiing hospital had never seen before.
Wow.
It was just all pieces of bone in there. And how those pieces of bone did not hit the biggest artery through the leg, I have no idea. Because when the EMTs later cut my pant leg off, it didn't go through the skin, but you could see all the pieces of bone. To me, it looked like a lotus flower, just all the way around, sticking into the skin.
Oh. Like you were looking at your leg and you could just see bones sticking out all over. I mean, poking the skin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they could see it too, because at first they're like, oh, we're going to move your leg. And then when they saw it, they're like, oh, my. And so they had first a helicopter flying above to try to rescue me.
So Jessica ran out to get help, obviously.
She being by my side, looking at her, decision, I'm not going to die. I actually said, I'm not going to effing die.
Yeah.
And I forced myself to start breathing again. I looked up, beautiful golden sun up above, or actually this white shimmering ball. And so I'm like trying to grab the sunlight, bring it into me, and then send out love. And just light, love, restart breathing, light, love, and had to force myself to manually breathe until emergency workers got there and beyond. And it was 90 minutes before the first one showed up. And I was stuck in a really ugly position and in a snowmelt creek. So freezing and stuck there.
For 90 minutes.
Yeah, and every time I tried to move, because of the bone sticking into things, the whole body would spasm.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was no moving one way or the other. And the back started to spasm because I was trying to hold myself precariously positioned because I couldn't move anywhere. So I was just stuck.
Yeah.
But I had a hard time trying to smile. I was in so much pain, but I knew it was a tremendous gift. And one of the people that
what?
One of the hikers who came along later, I did manage to do a short sing-along of I can see clearly now the rain is gone. And did start break into a little bit of laughter, and I had to still force the breathing, but was laughing pretty good.
Yeah.
By the time the crews get there, because I was at this point half here, half in the you're not here anymore world. Yeah. And I was just soaking in this energy of the big picture.
Yeah.
So Jessica went to after I started breathing again. She asked me to coach her through this.
Yeah.
Because she's thinking I've been through this before. And so she took a cell phone and she wouldn't get out of sight, but she climbed up on some rocks or something. I don't know exactly because I couldn't see her.
Yeah.
But she screamed like I've never heard her scream before, and she got hiker's attention, who took the phone and took it up higher to call help in. She came back by my side, tried to find a way to pin things behind me or hold me in position, and stayed by my side for that extremely long 90 minutes until the first rescue crew got there and the second rescue crew. And then she's trying to coach them and explain to them, Michael knows what happens. He knows this may look like a simple fracture. This is incredibly severe. And I lost over half of my blood bleeding out internally there on the trail.
Whoa.
And they couldn't get a blood pressure on me when they first came there. So she's letting him know he knows how serious this is. Had she not been there, I wouldn't have even started breathing again. I would not. I was, but I was supposed to be here.
Yeah. Wow. So that's intense. But I mean, through that process, you still knew, right? In that moment, I mean, you say it was harder to smile. I can relate to that. There's times when it's so painful, and yeah, even though you still know you can't smile, you can't do anything.
I was in focus, just focus on the breath, yeah.
But you still felt that there was something right about this. Like you weren't worried about it. You weren't,
Once that
what?
Breathing until I started breathing again. I was in a panic till I started breathing again. Because
Yeah.
when the body flipped the Oshawa, I'm in a place of, oh my God, this could be it.
Yeah.
Once I started breathing again, I knew everything was going to be all right. Everything was going to be fine. I just had to find a way to get through the pain, which is unlike anything I'd ever experienced before.
Yeah. Wow. That's intense, my friend. So what happened? So this has been 4 or 5 months now. Now what's going on?
4 months will be Sunday, this coming Sunday. Recovery in the hospital, obviously kept the leg. Let's share the wild part first.
Yeah.
Which is before the accident, because of all the titanium parts that I got in my other side from 7 years ago, I had an inch leg length discrepancy and a titanium femur through the whole, titanium rod through the whole femur. It's basically a titanium femur, and a titanium rod through the whole hip. So basically a titanium hip, but I got to keep the ball.
Yeah.
Plus some other associated hardware. So I was very unbalanced. After this accident,
you're Iron Man now. You're like titanium guy.
I have a perfectly matching titanium femur, titanium hip. Even the hoops, the wire hoops that tie it all together, are in exactly the same place. And voila, the inch leg length discrepancy is completely gone. I am perfectly matching. In fact, I'm a human tuning fork now.
Wow. Hey, well, some people would like to get rid of that leg discrepancy because that should help, ease up running quite a bit, right?
It should.
Yeah.
It should. So that to us was this incredible. The doctor or the physician's assistant came in 2 days after the surgery, and said, I was on your website, and I was surprised you already had gotten up the new X-rays on the website. He goes, until I realized that was from your last accident.
They look exactly the same. Yeah.
The docs have said there are no odds of having this exact same thing the exact same way and the exact same hardware. And we take that very, very clearly as a signpost. It's the deja vu moments that is trying to tell you something. And that is very clear. This was no accident. There is no way that I could have thrown myself down on a rock just right, even if I wanted to explode the femur and just the right way, that it didn't kill me but left me with exactly the same hardware and exactly the same fracture spot.
I think it's intriguing to hear how you just right before that happened, you just had this feeling and you give Jessica a big hug and talk about that. And it's amazing how, I don't know, it's just cool to hear that.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
We're at 4 months now. We're day, we'll call it day 17. It might actually be day 19, somewhere in there, that I've been back on my own 2 feet, meaning off of crutches.
Wow.
I went from a little bit ahead of schedule to something happened, and I fell way behind schedule. It felt like my leg had refractured. And yet I stayed tremendously positive. And now we are way infinitely ahead of schedule on healing, to where it's dumbfounding, because last time it was a year of pain and a year of struggle, and I still have a lot of pain that I'm dealing with, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
But we're 4 months out. I have jogged up and down my porch a few times.
You've jogged already. Barefoot, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tiny. I look like a 90-year-old waddling, but but I'm doing it.
I got to tell you, when you're on that mode, I don't know that I've told you. I don't think I've told you my story. We haven't talked much, but I don't know if you saw my story. But I had this incident last fall, and when I came back, when you talk about jogging, I went for when I could run again after I thought I was going to die. It was like my feet literally wouldn't even pass farther than each other forward. I mean, it was like such a slow, small jog. I ran a 17-minute mile, which means my feet were barely like getting farther than the foot behind it. And I was jogging up the Bear Creek Path in Boulder in December last year. That slow, I was just bawling. I had tears pouring down my face because I was alive. I was taking steps, and I was like in this running motion. And I'm just picturing you running down your porch. And was it emotional to be running again after that again?
Each step has been emotional, but each step, like your tears, have been tears of pure joy and awe. I can't pinch me. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so awesome. So you're running 4 months later, and I mean, not far yet, but you've taken a few jogging steps, and you're on the path to healing yet again.
Yeah, and I know. So a few things. I know I'll be as strong as I ever was before, if not stronger. I have absolutely zero desire to prove myself or to anything at this point. It's all coming from this place of surrender or humbleness, of gratitude. So it's all coming really from a very, maybe it's not so different, but it's completely different. It's like Jessica and I, because she went through this as much as me. She's there on the trail. I might die next to her. Yeah. This is an absolute life-changing experience.
Yeah.
We look back at who we were before. Like we made an Indiegogo campaign right before the tour, and we look back at what was videotaped then, and we look at who we are now. We're not the same people. Yeah. Those people died on the trail, literally.
Yeah.
And in a beautiful way. So every motion, every step is coming from a very, very different place now.
And what is that place? What's the...
If you don't want to be spiritual about it, you call it heart-centered.
What is it for you? He said if you don't want to be spiritual about it, well, we're going to get real here. I'm just going to say, what is it in real for Michael Sandler?
I'm connected. We're all connected. We're all so beautifully. We couldn't be disconnected from source, from energy, from love, from God, from what makes a tree grow, from what makes a seed sprout, from makes a flower blossom. We couldn't be disconnected from that, no matter how much we try.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yep.
I have no choice but to get it. It took me a while, but
let me read you something, because what you're just talking about it's in the New Testament. It's one of my favorite verses of all time, and it says, "Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord."
Amen.
So I love that when you're saying we're connected. We're connected to God's love. However people want to see that or believe that is respected and just embraced. But it's just I love, and that's where you're coming from now. Your new book that you're working on writing as we speak is called Breathe Love, right?
Yeah.
And that's that seems to me the place you're coming from now. It's kind of you've gotten to that place where it's you're just open to that, to love. Tell me more about that. What does that mean? Why the title Breathe Love, and what's the mission? What's the passion behind this book now?
There's a friend of ours, Sean Simmons, who put the music to our recent Indiegogo campaign, And he would say, the mission is love.
Uh-huh.
That's his line. And really it is. Breathe love means so many different things. There are so many different directions to go with it. But in most simplistic terms, if I wasn't breathing love, if I wasn't realizing I'm connected to Source, connected to God, in the moments that I was out on that trail there, I wouldn't be here now.
Yeah. I lost you for a
second. But I breathed love.
You say you wouldn't be here now, but then what?
Then I started breathing love.
Yeah.
I drew back into that connection, to that heart space. And that is the secret to living that heart-centered life, is connecting to that love that's inside and outside and surrounding each one of us. And that love is real. It is so real. You know if you feel somebody is good that you want to be around. You can sense the love.
Yeah.
You also know the reverse, or like going down that dark alley where you're not feeling the love.
Yeah.
And that's probably not where you want to go.
Yeah.
We're all completely connected to this special thing. And so breathe love is the act of breathing, is both the simplest act in the world, but also the most beautiful. If we didn't do it, we wouldn't be here. And by doing it, it nourishes our soul, it nourishes our mind. And if we focus on that breath, it gives us that infinite pause button, sort of like a dropped call does,
Yeah.
to be able to step back and see the big picture, feel the big picture. And so it means in any time of difficulty,
Uh-huh.
if you can focus on the breath, if you can breathe in that love that keeps you alive, everything is perfect in that moment, no matter how difficult that moment may be.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And when I'm just going to say, I'm stoked to read the book when you finish it and when it comes out, because that's what I mean, every morning for me, that particular word and that exact process is what I do. I mean, for at least 15 to 30 minutes, it's a meditation of me focusing on my breath and that particular word. I've been doing that for this entire year. So literally breathing love. And so I know exactly what you're saying, and it's amazing, and it's so grounding. And I just do that every morning, no matter what. I'm fanatical about it now because it feels so good to me. It's like, if I don't do that, I don't know. I would feel like I'm selling myself short or whatever. Like, I don't want to miss that for anything. It's my favorite part of the day, to be able to just stop and breathe and not think about anything, but to kind of breathe in that word and just to be in that. And I can totally relate. I'm stoked to read your thoughts on it fully in that book. That's super cool.
So
wow.
You've hit the nail on the head, and it's very special because us have learned so much, laying on the trail, learned so much, every step being in that place of grace since then, and then having the both unique and completely not unique ability to go through this together, both Jessica and I,
Uh-huh.
which is another means of love, of this sacred connection.
Yeah.
And learning through this. We're putting it all out there in this book because, well, we've all gone through serious stuff. People in Boulder are going through really, really, really serious stuff
Right now.
Yeah. Which I don't want to belittle it on any level, but can be an incredibly beautiful experience in the long run.
Yep.
In the short run, it's a lot of pain, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yep.
But there's so much we can learn and gain and grow from each of our challenging experiences if we do that, if we connect, if we draw in that breath and that love. That can make, like, I can only speak for my case. I'm so thankful, so incredibly thankful for this accident. so incredibly, incredibly, incredibly thankful. And to steal Jessica's words, sorry, baby, it's the best thing that ever happened to us.
That's so cool. And when did you start feeling incredibly grateful for it?
The moment it happened.
That's
amazing. It happened.
and you get more and more grateful for it because you just see and know that it's all perfect, that it's all guiding you closer to love and to a feeling of joy in your life.
Yeah, it's all energy, and we're able to shed away more layers of that onion, and to see and feel that energy, that love.
Yeah. That's amazing. We're running, I'm sure, overtime here of what we planned, so we'll wrap up. But there was no way we could cut that off. There was too much to hear in there, and I'm so grateful for you for sharing it, for coming on the line with me. I'm looking forward to sharing this with everybody else, and everybody needs to hear your perspective. I'm like I said, I'm super appreciative of having you here. Can you leave us, Michael, with just one final parting thought on what's the most important thing you've learned? And you've probably told us this, but just recap it briefly. What's the most important thing you've learned from your experience about how to live a truly amazing life of joy?
Nothing else matters. None of the crap that we think is important in our lives, except for our loved ones, except for our friends, our family, our spiritual practice, of focus of nothing else matters. Let it go. Let it all go. That means be detached from your job, your car, your home, your anything, your need to be here, your need to be there, whatever it is. If you love doing it, do it.
If you love doing it,
don't worry about it.
You said
if you love doing it, do it.
Yeah.
If not, let's shed it.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you can't take it with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is everything. This is all that we need. This is all that matters.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's all we.
Ultimately, it's what?
All we have.
Is what?
Love.
Love. Awesome, my friend. That is so cool. So great talking to you. Everybody, to get in touch with, well, let us know briefly, Michael, how can people learn about your new book and get in touch with you if they want to?
They can learn about our new book on our website, which is runbear, runbare.com. That is the first place. We may, depending on when this airs, have an Indiegogo campaign still running, which is helping bring in funds to get that book out. That's, I'll give you the short URL, tinyurl.com/breathelove.
Gotcha.
BREATHELOVE.
Okay, cool.
And if you Google around the web, you should be able to find it as well. But I'd go to runbear.com and on our Facebook pages as well.
And I'll put links to this on the show notes at trulyamazinglife.com/ we'll just go to podcasts, trulyamazinglife.com/podcasts, and you'll be able to see a link to this show with Michael Sandler, and I'll have links to all of his sites and to his book, and so you can see what he's doing. And right now, I'm going to try to get this up as soon as I can because you're doing an Indiegogo campaign where you're raising money for the marketing and of spreading the message of this book, right?
Yeah. And
so
that actually only runs for the next 3 days.
Oh, wow. I might not have it up by then, so it probably won't be up by then just because it's too much already right now going. But you know, people can still go and look at what you're doing and get in touch with you there. So,
and we'll have a way they can donate through our website as well to help us get going, to help this get this project is too hard for it not to get out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. All right. Well, one final thing for me is that when you come to Boulder next, we got to go for a barefoot run. So make sure to let me know when you're in town, because I know you'll be running.
Woohoo! I look forward to it. I'm wondering what the trails are going to look like, but I look forward to it very, very much.
So great meeting you, Michael. I'll let you go. Have a fantastic day.
You too, Aaron. Thanks so much.
All right. It's been a pleasure. See ya. All right, here's an update. I actually was able to pull off posting this the next day. So if you're listening to this on September 19th or 20th, there's still another day or two to go over to Indiegogo and support Michael's new book project launch for his book Breathe Love. So if you feel so inclined, go to trulyamazinglife.com/episode 5, and all the links to Michael's site and the Indiegogo campaign are just going to be right there on that page. While you're on the site, make sure to leave us a comment and tell us what you thought of this interview. I know Michael would love to hear from you, and so would I, so go ahead and tell us your thoughts. Leave us a comment and we'll reply. We reply to every single one. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave an honest review and rating over on iTunes. Just go to iTunes, search for The Truly Amazing Life, and click to leave a review. You'll be doing me and many others a great service by leaving a review, because positive reviews are the best way for others to find out about this podcast. So thanks for listening. Have a fantastic day.